welcome to the Two Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and here are today's topics. Arsenal travel to Villa Park and overcome a tough early season test with a 2-0 win at Aston Villa. Chelsea overcome a hectic first half with an inspired hat-trick from Noni Madueke to beat Wolves 6-2. It's more misery for Erik ten Hag at Manchester United as his side let another late goal slip in a 2-1 loss at Brighton. And Arne Slot's first game at Anfield goes according to plan with a 2-0 win against Brentford. That's what we've got coming up in today's episode.
OK, my friend, what a weekend we've had. Weekend 2 of the Premier League. I mean, it guarantees your stories, it guarantees your drama. It's an incredible league for giving you something when you least expect it.
I mean, I think particularly early season, Rob, because we're so excited to see different managers, how they're going to do things. Systems, we can report on that in today's pod, maybe more so than last weekend. That was even more hectic when you're there and you're charging around between the stadiums and stuff. So, we kept busy. We've
had a very busy week with our friend Ahmed in the Hot Seaters hosting a great weekend. Let's start at Villa Park. So last season, Aston Villa beat Arsenal on 2 occasions. Some are suggesting one of those defeats might have cost Arsenal the title. They lost by 2 points, but it's hard to put it on any game. But certainly Villa had the measure of Arsenal. So there's a lot of tension on this game. Unai Emery, a former Arsenal manager who's got his team very well set up. We saw him play against West Ham first day. Pretty impressive, depth of squad. I think we both felt this game was going to be a good test and a good chance to have a good look at both these teams in a high-class fixture. I thought the first half was fascinating despite not getting goals, and the second half I thought was the exhibit why Arsenal will believe they can run Man City close to a title this season.
And now they've grown, Rob. Now they've grown. Can you remember, maybe it's 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago, there was times when Arsenal got blown away by some teams, and when things started to go wrong, they went under a little bit. There was no durability there to the team. My goodness. I mean, we saw that, didn't we, in bundles in the second half of the game.
Just on that resilience, because I was thinking about it and listening last night. Does some of that resilience come through a bigger belief about the group now, Rob, or is that learned? Is that over time? Okay, remember that.
I think they harden. I think players harden over time. Young players harden over time. I mean, they've got tremendous experience of going close to winning the Premier League title, all of their ambitions and dreams, and they've been knocked down once pretty badly a couple of seasons ago, and last year really close. I think back to maybe it is confidence. We can go close. We've made some good additions. We're about to make, I think, another addition in midfield possibly. We're stronger now. Players that came start last season, Declan Rice and Kai Havertz, have found their best spots. We feel we're better, and I just thought the defenders, Rob, I mean, some of those challenges and some of the reaction from them, with Saliba particularly made a challenge late on, there was quite the determination there to win, to protect their lead when they got it. And wow, I thought it was really, really impressive and a strong, not even a statement, but a message to everybody else. We can go to Villa Park on the opening day of the season, by the way, for them at home, first home game. We know that place is big atmosphere.
It's going to be a difficult place.
That was a huge win, I thought.
It was a huge win. I think it was a win that will give them confidence, belief in what they're doing. I think the manager they had to tough it out with Aston Villa. They had to come through a few moments, and I want to get to one of those in particular. And I think you're right. I think the squad, depth of squad, people coming in the team, competition for places is something that's going to be interesting. Again, I want to get your thoughts on that. I'm going to go to the incident in the second half. It was the first half when David Raya pulls off one of the saves of the season. Second half it was actually, wasn't it? It was the second half of Ollie Watkins. He'd missed the chance in the first half when he
had another chance in the second half.
Early in the second half. And Arne has a shot that's deflected. Goalkeeper David Raya is going back towards his goal, jumps in the air, it hits the ball and comes down. Ollie Watkins is right in a great spot, thinks he's got his first Premier League goal of the season, heads it with power towards the goal. Whether it's too close or not to the goalkeeper is not the argument in what I'm saying. The reaction, the ability of David Raya to go from his knees to propel himself to his left to get a strong hand and get it out of the way of the goal, I'll tell you now, will be save of the season. I'll tell you right now, it'll be safe the season, mate. And just let me finish on David Raya. At 1-0 up against Wolves last week, Strand Larson had a header and 6 yards out. The game's very different if it goes to 1-1 and Wolves are back in it. David Raya last week picked up the PFA Goalkeeper of the Year. And people were a little bit sceptical. 16 clean sheets.
Golden Glove last year, wasn't it? 2
already this season. He's not a star of this team, but he's becoming an important element of this Arsenal side.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the save off of his knee, wasn't it, to try and it happened so quickly. But the reaction from knowing the ball's still in play to kind of getting ready to face that, and how bad a miss. If you're Ollie Watkins,
I'm thinking I should have scored.
It's right here, boom. And he's done his best. I mean, he just didn't get it wide enough. Because do you expect the goalkeeper to jump up like that? So it's a brilliant save. And I'll tell you what, just quickly on Raya. I was of the thought of like, is he that much better than Aaron Ramsdale? Is he that much better? But I think he looked a little nervy at the start with his Arsenal, kind of switching him into the side. But maybe him, like others, are growing. They're growing in confidence. They're growing in experience. They're trusted by the manager, which is a massive difference, by the way. When we were playing, if you had a manager that trusted you and you knew that he liked you, what he did, it made a big difference. So, there's many big moments. That's a big moment.
Just quickly on that one, because I know you want to move on, but again, isn't that got to be down to Mikel Arteta? He made a change. He brought in David Raya when most of us were going, what's he doing?
Yeah.
There's not much between him and Ramsdale.
Well, there wasn't.
And there wasn't, but it looks like a decision that's come right. And
we'll never know, Rob, if Ramsdale's in goal.
We will never
He makes a lot of saves.
We are where we are.
We are where we are. And he had a big game. Just other people, Rob, just other things in the game and stuff. Like, Ewan Timber was another player that we pointed at in the show. Something different. This is different. Like Calafiori, we know is a new signing. We saw him later in the game. I think he's going to be a fun player to watch in this team. But Ewan Timber, for his first game in there, really, as a starting player from a left back, I thought he was good. I thought he was really good. He tied at the end. He's super neat and tidy on the ball. He's stronger. And there was one moment. Who was it running? Was it I think it was Bailey running it very quickly, or was it Rodgers?
Down that side,
and he defended pretty well in a difficult situation. So I think that is an interesting thing to do and to mention. And I'll go back to the captain, Robin. I know, that the headlines will be Trossard and maybe Saka involvement, but the through ball from Odegaard, it does not happen if Martin Odegaard doesn't play that clever reverse ball.
The reverse ball.
And anybody out there who's listening or watching this will know that there was a great ball he made earlier to Saka who failed to score. Did he try and cross it, or he pulled it back? But those little clever little balls in behind are everything. They're everything, because anybody can knock it around and try. But those clever little balls that make it in behind. And there was a little bit of fortune towards the goal as Rodgers put it into his path. But that doesn't happen if that ball's not played in behind.
Correct.
So Odegaard, wow, I like what he did, and it was a impressive, solid victory.
Not that this is going to be an issue because of what I saw, but I want to go to a place with you on Arsenal in terms of. Trossard came on for Martinelli. Martinelli's not in his best form at the moment, but offers pace and offers threat. But we've seen better Martinellis. Zinchenko had a face that you said was like a smack something or the other. It is an English phrase which I won't use, but was obviously unhappy.
Yeah, he looked a bit unhappy. Yeah.
Competition for places is important in successful teams. Will people have to accept some of that? Moving forward, Trossard actually didn't celebrate his goal and was set, and actually went out and said it was because he wants to be in the first team, and he reacted in the right way. Manager's okay with that. Is that something that will have to be managed? Does the sexual group deal with that in the way?
I think the players in our day, the group would have a laugh about it. We'd all be miserable, miserable, and take the mick out of Trossard like where he scored, right? The manager, if it does get a little bit more heated or more than that, we'll have to deal with it. This is the highest level, Rob. I expect Arteta to deal with it. And by the way, I don't think it's a problem right now. It's not a problem.
No, it isn't a problem.
There's one thing you expect as a manager at a club like that, and with those sort of players, is that people are going to be unhappy. It's been forever that players get fed up when they're not playing. But it does help when you're in a team that's got a good chance of winning the title, and you could be there at the end of the season with a medal around your neck, instead of a team that's in the bottom half of the league and you're still not in the side and they're rubbish and I can't get in the team. What's going on? Knock on the door. So I thought if there's one way to protest, I don't mind that.
And And then when you get the shirt, you've got to produce because you know the pressure's on you.
Well, that's what the manager's going to say.
Yeah.
And he can say, I've done it now. And he has got an argument, by the way. He scored more goals than Martinelli last year.
Yeah.
He was more reliable. He came up with big moments. And I think that Rob, when we all do pre-season, and this is for all players, you work your socks off in pre-season. You play the pre-season games. You know, who's the manager thinking? Who started in that game, which looks like a really important game? God, it wasn't me. It was him. So Trossard, when he gets the first team sheet, and now it's like, I didn't make it. After what I did last year, I didn't make it. I just wonder, Rob, if he, and maybe this is the last thing before we move on with them, is Trossard going to force his way? Is he going to force his way in because he's simply a better option as a left forward now than Martinelli?
Yeah, it's possible, and form and goals and things will tell you. Whether he goes back to Martinelli, gives him one more look and almost go, okay, and if it doesn't work, we'll see Trossard, and Trossard will get one. Similar thing happened last season, didn't it? Trossard came in for a period and started to play a little bit more regular.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's going to be. I mean, the left-back spot's interested with Timber, with Calafiori.
Looks good. Calafiori looks good.
Zinchenko, when you've got possession, might play certain games. But a lot of football to play. You're going to need a lot of players, importantly, stay on side.
Right. There's two teams in this game, by the way. Yeah. And if it wasn't for... I mean, there could be a very different outcome to this game. Ollie Watkins
takes a couple of those chances.
Two brilliant... I mean, he's the player that's going to go into to early next week, frustrated. Because they were amazing chances. It could have been a very, very different game. We liked Aston Villa, Rob, on week one. We saw them again. That's why it was so exciting to see these matchups, because wow, Villa are really, really good, and Arsenal. So that's what makes it more impressive. Now, there's one player, Rob, that we both, to be fair, I've jumped on this guy as my underappreciated performer, one to watch for sure for Aston Villa, and we both picked him out early. In fact, we picked him out last year because he comes from my old club, Middlesbrough.
Where all the great footballers
grow and become, amazing players. Morgan Rogers. Now, I'm going to pause because this is an I feel strong. This is a big. His performance from last year and in this game and what we're seeing from this guy.
And what we saw last week, by the way.
And what we saw, it's a little bit right?
Yeah.
Jaw drop a little bit. I was saying today, Rob, messing around in the studio between games, he could be an incredible. Now I know Villa are doing great things, but if you're the biggest clubs in Europe, watching him develop last year and watching him play in this game in last week, it's like, wow, that's special. Yeah. I heard another pundit on the radio. Who was it? Was it Jamie Redknapp or was it somebody else? Lightened him a little bit to Jude Bellingham type of player.
I know, exactly the same
that's an incredible comparison.
Wow,
so Morgan Rogers, anybody out there who didn't see this game, or next time you watch Villa, this guy is big. He's got a great engine, good frame, strong, skillful. Makes great decisions on the ball, when to release it, when to dribble. He turned Thomas Partey 10 times in the game.
England under-21 international.
Yeah, he's 22 now, he is.
I guarantee you he'll be in the England squad within the next 6 months.
I mean, if he's not in the next England squad, and there's one's coming up.
The coach was there, wasn't he?
Lee Carsley, the interim England manager.
At the game,
so can you add to that? I mean, what a talent.
19 years of age, has got all the attributes.
He's 22, Morgan Rogers.
Sorry, $19 million.
Right.
It's incredible business from the
championship. There's players out there,
which stands to Aston Villa's recruitment and scouting network, and he's out there for everybody. And Aston Villa took the gamble, and now we're seeing why they took the gamble. And this young man, along with others, I think is the future. And under Unai Emery, Rob, with an Arne, with Tielemans.
Yeah, Tielemans played well, I thought.
There's a group of players, there's a nice mix of young players there who, I know you're saying maybe to Liverpool, but if Aston Villa are ambitious, they give him a big contract and say 5 years, and then they say, right, you're part of the future.
Yeah, so Villa fans out there, whether we've tilted towards Arsenal there, maybe it was a big result for them, but please don't think that we don't think a lot of Aston Villa.
Aston Villa were excellent. I thought it was an excellent game.
It was for a large period of that game. It was pretty tight.
Unai Emery said after the game that he obviously he didn't like losing and just felt that Arsenal's length of time together and understanding of what they were doing was a little bit more than theirs, and that won them in the end.
Yeah.
Okay, my friend.
All right, next on the list.
Let's go to my statement performance of the Sunday games. Wolverhampton Wanderers were hosting Chelsea. It's Chelsea under Maresca that we basically the papers have been full of 40 to 50 players, some with the manager, some with the reserve team coach.
Sell one, loan one, play one.
It's the actual game. It's like fantasy manager, but in real life. Raheem Sterling and Ben Chilwell look like they're outdoor experienced players, with a number of others who are going to be out on loans in different things. It felt chaotic at Chelsea, and I wondered. Well, I actually didn't know what to expect today. I wanted to look at Maresca's team, having seen them against Man City. It's always difficult to judge anything against Man City. Yeah. But away to Wolves is a challenge against a Gary O'Neill team we know will always be tactically well set up and well coached. What could this young Chelsea team do, and what would Maresca ball look like? We keep hearing about this guy, and he was at Leicester, and he's a Pep disciple and that. But your Premier League manager, it's your first away game against a team that you hopefully would beat. What did it look like, Mustoe? Well, start me off, my friend.
It's too much. It's too much to say. It's too much to say. It was the performance of the day, maybe of the weekend, in terms of what we'd learnt. We've got confirmation, the style, and the confirmation is it's Man City's team, basically. I can go through right now and tell you, player for player, what they're trying to do. Malo Gusto, the right back, zipped into midfield like Rico Lewis does, or sometimes on the other side they do that. So they build up with three at the back, two midfield players, one holder in Caicedo and Gusto, and then Cole Palmer and Fernandes go forward, the wingers, like City have wingers, Madueke on one side, Mudryk on the left side, and Nico Jackson up front. And they're very true to that style. He's a Pep disciple. Yeah. We saw it at Leicester City, Rob, though, quite frankly. We don't see a lot of Leicester games. There's a lot of games that we watch in the Premier League. But it is chaotic, right? And I think, by the way, I hope that in previous podcasts, the preview one and last weekend, I think that it's different, right? We did a big feature on the show today in Chelsea, and they're the list of players, and they're going to get rid of a load, and some are going to go on loan, and they're training it. That's very different.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to be careful of rubbishing it off, by the way, because it's different. And I hope that we haven't done that.
No,
we've said what we've seen, which is
enough.
And there's been chaotic, and there's been tons of signings, and I think I've said, how are they affording these? They're better accountants than I am. If they can not get in trouble with PSR, if they can make some money on some player trades, and they can create, the most important thing is they can create a good, young, entertaining, attacking team for the Chelsea fans, then that's it. That's it. No, I ain't saying they're almost there. No. But today was a, wow, that's fun to watch, and it's going to be fun because they're going to attack a lot, they're going to defend a lot, they're going to concede a lot of goals. And my excitement isn't that Chelsea are going to be brilliant from now on in, but my excitement is, that's it.
Yeah,
we know what to see.
A little bit more
I can see now if Caicedo doesn't play well, Lavia will play there. I can see now that they've got Pedro Neto to play on the left, if Mudryk or anybody else. I can see now if you want something different to Nico Jackson, then you've got João Felix playing as a false nine that we saw in the game. And there's full-back cover, there's centre-back cover. You can kind of see now, and it takes a couple of weeks, what he's trying to do. But again, it won't be plain sailing. There will be some end-to-end chaos losses probably, but I enjoyed it.
And I think where I'll pick up on those points are, I think we all felt amongst those 50 players, there's a team in here.
Well,
there's a group of talented footballers here that if they can be some stability, if the ground can stop moving, if we can hone in on things. And I remember saying on our podcast, and I think I even mentioned it last week and saying, Enzo Maresca's biggest challenge is to concentrate on his players who are playing in his team, in his squad, which
21,
is exactly
22
what he's doing.
Right.
And he came out this week, and I didn't mind him almost saying, you know what, the ones who aren't with me are not really my problem. I would always say, be honest to players. We've all been players, Rob. Sometimes you have bad news, you don't like to hear it, but you'd rather the manager be honest to you. If somebody's not going to be part of your plans, and I believe he's been respectful in going to Sterling and Chilwell and saying, I don't see you getting minutes, so, if you can get yourselves another club, that's what I want. I absolutely have no problem with that. That's a manager's prerogative, if he's happy to let. But what we saw today was the first step and signs of what stability might look like for this team.
I don't think much is going to change now. I think he's done the right thing and probably said, you know what, there's two directors of football there, isn't there? It's like, okay, I see what you're doing. Wow, that's a lot. Yeah. But please let me only work with 22, 23 players, and then the others can train at a different time. Again, it's so different. But if he nips that in the bud and works, because Pep always likes to work with a small amount of players, and then young academy comes through.
Well, Rob, I looked at the outfield players for Chelsea. Cucurella's 26. Nobody else was older than 23. 21, 22, 23. And just let me put this one in the dressing room in terms of what that could mean in the dressing room. Was when you go to Raheem Sterling, who's been a great pro, good goal scorer, good servant to Liverpool and Manchester City, and Ben Chilwell, who's was excellent in the summer series we saw him, and he's had his injury problems. But you go and say respectfully, Raheem, I've loved your career and that, but you're not for me. Those young boys in the dressing room have a standard set, and they know that I've got my chance here. But if I'm not doing it right, if he's prepared to get rid of Raheem Sterling, he'll be prepared to get me. Sends a message and delivers things, and I think regulates your dressing room, Rob, so that, I don't know, that maybe, I'm picking a name out there, maybe Mustoe and feels a bit awkward around Sterling because it's Raheem Sterling. If I do something wrong, he's a bit edgy. All of a sudden, he could be taking some of that from the dressing room. And this young group who all look today, Rob, they look like a group of players enjoying each other's company and enjoying playing football.
And nobody enjoyed it more than Noni Madueke, and we've got to mention his hat-trick and the way that he's been one of them that Cole Palmer was one of these, an early one, like, oh, interesting signing from City. It's actually amazing. Madueke, some good games, some bad games. Is he really the guy? And I'm sure I've said that before, by the way. I'm not sure about Madueke. But he's young, and he's turning into a flipping a really effective player that scores goals in a wide area. So he deserves a mention. Cole Palmer, we know all about. 3 assists from him. The goals from Madueke, Rob. We spent a long time on Chelsea here, but
they deserve a long time. On the
I'm
day.
excited because it's like I see the blueprint. There might be small variations, but I think even the players that came in, Rob, it was the same setup, and he tried He tried Felix in different positions with the subs. He's really trying to sift through what he's got and make everybody. This is how we play. And
see where you
it can work. It can work, and it can be fun to play.
Well, I'm going to go to my underappreciated performer of the week, Robbie Mustoe, and I think true to what you said, we've got to give this Chelsea project chance to fail or succeed and flourish and mature. My underappreciated performer of the week is Enzo Maresca, the Chelsea manager.
Because the expectation and the early signs were like, hang on a minute.
Correct.
He's had a year at Leicester City. He didn't do well in Italy. He's not managed in top flight in the Premier League before as a manager.
Yeah, everybody's can see the negatives and the doubt. Let's just be open. Let's give this guy a chance. We saw signs of things today that look very exciting. It's not consistent. We know that all that's got to come. We know teams have got to grow. Think where Arsenal were 2 years ago to where Arsenal are now.
Exactly. Takes time.
If Maresca in a couple of transfer windows and a couple of things getting the squad he wants. Apparently, one of our stats people today gave me a note. Enzo Maresca is the first manager in Premier League history to see his team score 6 goals in his first away games in the Premier League. Full stop. I'm
going to throw one word and then we're going to move on. And that word for Chelsea is continuity. Come on, this looks good.
The window shuts Friday, doesn't it?
Yeah, continuity with the manager, with the style, with the squad, the first team squad. You can do your buy your players and all that, but let's leave it alone now for seasons. I know he's got a long contract. Big call, by the way, for the directors of football to change Pochettino, and I questioned it, and I said, wow, why would you change it when he's found the winning formula? Well, maybe we just saw why, because there is something better, and this guy plays a style that the fans are going to like even more and get the most out of the young players. All right, that was a lot. Move on.
Let's go to the Amex, my friend. Let's go to the Amex for Fabian Hürzeler. Who got his Brighton team 1-3-0 at Everton. Good start after the Derby. I watched the game, as you said. I thought there was little tweaks that he brought into the team. He's got James Milner in a pivotal role that's important to
Billy
the side.
Gilmore,
taking on Manchester United now. I had a decent run, I think 4 wins in 5 against United before the game. Manchester United, who we thought with signs of improvement in the Fulham game. Still work to do, but got the goal,
great,
got the win.
But looked a bit more.
Kind of game that you think, okay, Erik ten Hag in his next steps it can go to Brighton and get something from the game.
Yeah, I think the first half, my notes from the game was, all right, that's okay. Come on, there's got to be more penetration. It's got to be better football. There's got to be more attacking intent. Ask more questions. You know, we have this little experiment of Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes playing as
the false
nines, kind of deep forwards, playing together to try and get. That's kind of 2 players getting in a similar spot. They didn't manage to get in behind too much. Ahmed was quiet in the first half. Rashford quiet as well. And then, of course, later in the second half, they go behind and lose the game late on. Ahmed scores a really good goal, by the way, from right. So I'm pleased for him because he's had a good pre-season. I feel like he may be the first one to lose his position as a winger. That should not be happening. Well, I'm not saying we all know. Marcus Rashford, again, is not doing great. Yeah. And Alejandro Garnacho is a brilliant winger who prefers to play on the left side, coming in on his right foot. I would think now that Rashford might be pushed out of the team for Garnacho, Rob, or is Ahmed, the young kid, going to be? I mean, he scored a goal. You can't leave him out. The negative side of things will always jump back on with Erik ten Hag, Rob, with this defeat. Yeah. If there's somebody else in charge now, right? I'll tell you what would have happened. If it's the same result, if it's Pochettino, for example, okay, there's some of the old problems. It's going to get. We've got to figure that out. It's another reminder to the new manager. Sometimes you lack penetration. Sometimes certain players are quiet. We've got to get more out of certain players, or attacking players. Casemiro's ill-discipline at the goal. The second goal is really unacceptable. Defensively, really poor. Because it's Erik ten Hag, it's like,
you've had 2 years.
We shouldn't be conceding goals like that.
Basic defending is a given in the Premier League, Rob, if you're going to win games. Yeah. Manchester United's basic defending, from a cross that came in that got overloaded, Welbeck scores, from a cross that comes in when Pedro and I think it was Enciso, and there's two or three on the far post who could have scored, is unacceptable. Yeah. It's unacceptable, Rob. It is not a team that's been well coached. There is development of Manchester United. There is a little bit more control. I saw a little bit of organisation on the press at times when they were going. I saw a little bit more compactness in the team that I think are steps in the right way.
Yeah, they are.
Basic defending, Rob. If you don't defend the ball in your box, in the Premier League, you're going to lose football matches. Now, let me go to a situation in a player. Danny Welbeck. I think it's his 5th or 6th goal against Manchester United since he left. 2014, Danny Welbeck left Manchester United. He won a Premier League title. He was once the young Manchester kid who was going to be a star. 2 years later, we get Marcus Rashford, 2016, who's another level, I think, in terms of talent to Danny Welbeck. Of what we saw on the game at the weekend, Danny Welbeck produces and gives you more than Marcus Rashford. How can that be?
Well, it's a good analogy. It's a really good point, isn't it? And it's like, as we know, the importance of, mentality in performances and trying to get the best out of what tools you've been given. I don't know. It's still early season for Marcus Rashford, and I've given. I don't know. I feel like he could do with a move. He could do with a fresh. A new manager coming in might have given him that as well. Yeah. Another thing I want to mention, Rob, before I forget, is. And I said, I think on the last part about substitutions, right? With 5 subs now, games changes. Second half, there's a lot of changes happening. So Fabian Hürzeler, 31 years of age, playing at home against Manchester United. He's the 3 ones that I've made a note of, the substitutes that came on late-ish in the game. Yeah. Julio Enciso, Simon Adingra and Rout, all out-and-out attackers. To go and fair play. We're at home. Yeah. We fancy our chances here. Let's go and try and win the game. Erik ten Hag brought on Anthony. Okay, that's an out-and-out attacker. And Scott McTominay and Matthias de Ligt. Now, I know that Harry Maguire might not be fully fit. Yeah. Does those subs inspire you to? Yeah. I feel like Brighton's subs were more apt, more effective, and they ended up winning the game. Is there any criticism for Erik ten Hag that he wasn't a bit more? I mean, Eriksen could play.
Remember, we were at Old Trafford. We were at Old Trafford the first week. Harry Maguire came off with a cramp. Do you remember? So it might be that he's only got 70 minutes or so much time in his legs, and the manager feels, now I need to get him out, and he's got to get Delay on. I don't know. Casemiro.
By the way, why has he only got 7 minutes in his legs?
Well,
what's he been doing all summer? What?
Listen.
Pre-season,
pre-season, I don't know. We've seen a few players. Matthew Cash was
maybe stuff we don't know about, like missing.
Might be something that we don't know, but he's not right. You want to get Delay on. The interesting one for me, Rob, was not also who brought on. Took off Bruno Fernandes, his captain, with 10 minutes to go. He's not on a yellow card. He's probably the most creative player they've got, and he's captain of your football club.
Scott McTominay came on for him, I guess, in that position.
I know Scott's got a goal in him, but
that's why he came on. He came on to replace him, and I guess hoping that he was going to score a goal more than Bruno was going to create or score himself. So, I mean, what I really want to say is, I just can't see this going anywhere with the current manager, Rob. Is that too early? Is it too early there? Are we?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
We're two in. I mean, they got Liverpool coming up next weekend, which is be interesting. Let's give it 10 or 12 games, Rob. Let's get a feel of when the squad's right.
You're right, because
and
some of these new players,
starting, and
Zirkzee starting,
I'm afraid Mason Mount looks like he's playing his way out of the team. It's not quite worked for him. I see the false nines. I'd rather a full 9. Give me one centre forward, Rob.
Yeah, Rasmus Højlund with Zirkzee in behind, maybe Bruno in behind. You've got Garnacho, you have maybe Ahmed or somebody else. They might buy number 6. You're going to have De Ligt and Lissandro back there. Mazraoui, we said, looks very good. So you're right. I take that back. Let's just wait till he gets this new team on the field with a few games, a dozen games, to see whether he can get the best out of the players that look like they should improve the starting 11.
Let's also have a word for Fabian Hürzeler, the youngest manager in the Premier League, who's come in to replace a De Zerbi, who's a big character, who's made a big impression on the Premier League. I like the guy. I like his persona. I like his composure. He's definitely got the eye and the ear of the players. James Milner's talked really about how clear and concise he wants to work. You can see his build-up play. He wants to go through these 2 pivots in midfield. It's not a million miles from De Zerbi. It's nothing that we've gone, wow, look at that. But
it's not so wow. Oh, no.
No, it's not so wow. He's won his first 2 games, and he's got buy-in from his players. For a young coach who's not managed really at what we call the top level, it's a pretty good start.
It's a great start. I mean, Brighton, I know they've done an amazing recruitment and they've got a good squad of players now, but still, to win the first 2, including Manchester United, is really good. And I'll go back to those subs. They have got, in terms of Matoma, Minta, the new player they brought in, the Gambian, the 20-year-old, looks good, looks a little raw at the moment, but you have got the likes of Simon Adingra. How good was he last season? Wow. Julio Enciso, that missed a lot of last season with injury. Rout, a record signing as a forward. And João Pedro, who... And many more good seasons away from getting a big move, I think, as a 9, a clever 9, a 9 that comes away. He's a 9.5, and he drops in a lot. So I'm excited about that.
Ferguson, by the way.
Still getting Ferguson. It's such a well-run club with such great recruitment. Just on the manager, I had a good look at him. I actually re-watched the game last week.
Against Everton.
And
Everton were poor, gave the ball away.
They were poor. And there's nothing crazy tactically from Brighton. It's kind of 4-4-2, close to it. Really expansive, really wide. And they just rely on good players. They've got good players in the attacking areas that can do good things.
All I would say to that is, and in many ways you're right, but the first goal caused by an overload from Brighton as the ball came in. Guess who was part of the overload? Jack Hinchelwood, the left back, was in the centre forward position. So there's some rotation, there's some freedom.
There's a freedom to attack, but out of a pretty simple structure.
Yeah,
I guess the structure I'm saying about is pretty straightforward.
And maybe go as a new manager going in, following De Zerbi. That's not a bad way to go about it. But as ever, Brighton look like they've done their business well. They've got a good manager in charge, and what a great start. 2 wins into for him in the Premier League. Let's go to Anfield, mate, because this was always going to be an emotional big one. Arne Slot's first Premier League game at home to Anfield. We hear it was the biggest. You got the number, haven't you? The biggest attendance.
60,107. I don't know why the number.
Why is that number stuck with you?
I don't know why. 60,107. That's the capacity now, with a little piece of the stand getting opened or whatever.
And they were at home to Brentford. Again, just wanted to look at. Everybody said there's a bit of a difference about Liverpool. Slot's had his tweaks. There's a little bit more control. Let's have a look at it. What's your takeaway, mate, of Liverpool, what we saw? 2-0 win, so got the win, clean sheet. But what was your takeaway from the game?
Well, I'll try and give you the easy, common, felt opinions of what we're seeing right now. And I think the biggest key word is different.
Yeah.
For everything feels different. Anfield, I mean, we weren't there and our commentators were there, and they basically backed us up our comments about it kind of did feel a bit different. It was quiet at times, and the energy is lower, but the football energy is lower. The Arne Slot's demeanour and the way he carries himself is low. It's just different, Rob. It's not worse, or it's just different. Yeah. And I think Anfield will get used to, and Liverpool fans, I think what we do know is they know their football, by the way. Sure. They know their football, and I think what they're seeing, and they will appreciate, is that it's a... What's the right word to use, Rob, in terms of their style? Let's go without the ball. So without the ball, it's different. With Jurgen Klopp, it was 4-3-3, fly out the track,
more structured,
work,
isn't it?
well, just crazy
And
to win
less
the ball
intense,
back.
yeah.
And they could get played through a little bit, particularly end up getting some end-to-end games.
You're gonna get
Arne Slot looks like he doesn't want end-to-end.
No.
So he's going to have his fullbacks. We did some analysis on the show. A little bit more cautious, but they do go. They went,
of course they do when it's right.
And the midfield's different. So there's two holding players now without the ball. That changes in possession because McAllister is an 8 and he goes forward like other teams do in the Premier League. But without possession, he drops back alongside Gravenberch.
Side by side.
And that's more protective. And that's a little more cautious. Is that the right word? Or there's more insurance there. In possession, it's more patient, it's slower, it's more intricate. That being said, the goal was a great counter-attack, wasn't it?
For Liverpool.
That Luis Diaz scored.
So they can still do that.
With the players they've got, I think they'll always have that.
I said today, Rob, and just to add to your point, that I just wonder if, as a player, I'm thinking, manager's coming in, he wants more control, he wants more structure. I might play a little bit slower than I would normally play. And at times, I don't think that's a bad thing. And then it might start to ramp up as the weeks go on and I get to what is normal and what he expects. But it's almost like, let's bed this first bit in first. And then we can start thinking about...
Almost like it's not automatic yet.
Correct.
They're in their heads a little bit about how we want to play.
Absolutely.
And then it becomes automatic. To be fair, and we spoke to Arne Slot afterwards, or we heard the interview, and he said, we were a little sluggish in the first half. Second half was better attacking play, and I totally agree. So I think we all appreciate. And by the way, you could say last year that Liverpool probably needed a little bit more caution at times. So they could have done with a little bit more of this. But Liverpool at Anfield against Brentford, come on, we want more dominance, if you like, and we saw that second half. The attacking players, Salah gets his goal, and it felt good. Then afterwards, Rob, because we're normally seeing Jurgen Klopp going over and banging his chest and fist pumping in front of the cop. There was a wave and a thumbs up. And that's all right, by the way.
If that's who he is, that's fine, isn't it?
Is there a situation where the football, it doesn't find a way through, Rob, and they don't get the counter-attack, and it is a little slow and a little quiet in the stadium, and it's not a win? How patient are the fans going to be?
I think go back to your point.
If things don't go well.
Liverpool fans know their football.
I think so.
And so they'll give it time if they believe it's going in the right directions. What they won't be happy with if it's not sort of the right ball, it's not sort of going where they want. That's when.
And there's no sense of progression over weeks and months, probably.
Correct. Over a sense of time. Let me come to you because I like Arne Slot. I think he's comfortable in his own skin. He's not tried to be anything of a clock 2 or
super calm.
Super calm. Super confident, I think. To the point where, do you know today, Robbie, when he came out for his interview, and he gave the interview, and he speaks very well. He obviously got great command of football, great command of language. He almost felt, to me, Rob, like he was an assistant manager for a big coach, and the big coach is not feeling well, and the assistant's gone out and done the interview. You know where assistant is the good guy in the dressing room, and he'll talk just like a Pep Linders would do, and he'll give you all the things that are happening and why they've done them and that. But there isn't the he's the boss. It felt like that to me, and it was just an interesting thought because I thought
that's a very different style. My immediate comeback is the obvious one: is there a bad guy then? And maybe there is. One of his assistants may have to be a bad guy. And also following on from the man management side of things, the subs. I noticed it at Ipswich. 2-0 up. All right, boom, changes. Let's get some minutes. Come off, And sometimes some players don't like it.
Mo Salah
didn't like it today, and he hasn't liked it in the past. He's fallen out with the manager in the past. Trent didn't look particularly thrilled to be off. Are they going to have to get used to it, or is Arne Slot going to have to get used to the way that? I feel bad saying it. The way that they used to. I don't mean that, but some managers might. Salah likes to play all the games. Okay, why should I upset him? Trent, if he's going to be my right back, I'll keep him out there. They got brought off. Like anybody, it seems, can get brought off. Could there be problems with the squad with him?
I sense with this guy, he's a great communicator.
Well, he's going to have to be.
Yeah, and I sense he might pull Trent after training one day, walk around the pitch with him and say, Trent, you're so important to me. Don't take any offence. I've got to get Conor Bradley a few minutes. You're so important to me. We're going to have so many games this season. I just think he's a smart guy. And in his man management, it looks to me like is one of his strengths, Rob. And I think that might be something that Liverpool benefit from, the likes of Nunes, the likes of Trent and Salah and people like that, who at times I think butted heads with Klopp towards the end. I think he's a smart manager who's going to get the best.
Can I give him a last comment on Liverpool?
Go on.
2-0 today.
Yeah.
Really controlled.
Yeah.
Never looked like giving up that lead. Never looked like conceding.
No.
Now that's good. Right, again,
It's
it might not be gung ho.
Liverpool, has it?
It's not always been, and they've gone forward and scored more goals. And Jurgen Klopp's always, and then they've like, oh wow, they're letting back in the game. It might not be as fun and as chaotic and as end to end, but the way that they finished out that game, subs, here we go, close the game off. Yeah. I thought that's good. I think that's good, and I think that they've got so many good attacking players, Rob. Yeah. They're going to do good stuff. The team then can sit back and finish the game.
Something happened today where Brentford there was a bit of a turnover. Brentford had a transition and broke. And I've got to tell you, there was probably 6 or 7 Liverpool sprinted to get back in and slow the play down. I thought, that's interesting.
And that's a little different.
My last point, Robin, is kind of a... I'll just ask you outright. Does the Liverpool manager have to have a bigger personality? And I'm not saying what any's right or wrong, but you've had Klopp, Brendan Rodgers to a certain degree, you've had Rafa Benitez, you've had Kenny Dalglish, you've had people like that, Rob, who were big personalities. Does it matter that Arne Slot's not?
No, it does not. Okay. And I'll tell you why not. Bob Paisley wasn't a big personality, a big flamboyant guy. Manager, yeah. And I would also argue Kenny Dalglish, Rob, apart from being a legend of the club, he wasn't a big, brash, outspoken manager. Classy, respectful. So I draw on that.
Yeah. So and he said this in an interview with Jamie Carragher. His football will be the connection to.
And the Liverpool fans will get it.
Yeah.
They love the Klopp factor, right? And there's a lot of people think out there that wow, how are they gonna?
Yeah.
I think the Liverpool fans have seen a lot, particularly the older ones. They've seen all different types be successful.
Some successful and some
the
not.
The extravagant ones, the introverted ones can be, Joe Fagan, all these guys, old school Liverpool. Yeah. They weren't crazy big flamboyant types. So as long as the football's good, they're winning games, they entertain them at Anfield, and then he's going to be absolutely respected.
Well, it's been great watching Arne Slot and Liverpool this season and see how things go on, taking over from Jurgen Klopp. Right, mate, we'll just head to a few of the other results from the weekend. Spurs putting 4 past Everton. Spurs, I thought, well in control. If there's a little criticism of Spurs, Rob, it's every now and then they lose a bit of their concentration, just go a bit flat for 10, 15 minutes. Better teams than Everton will hurt them. Yeah. Everton, Rob, is a bit of a worry.
Oh,
it's a bit of a worry. Gosh. 7 goals into 2 games.
Yeah, and I know they've got injury issues, which meant I think the manager said they had 14 fit players or something. Yeah. There's they've sold one of their best players. They need him back. I mean, Sean Dyche again is gonna like, wow, I got another very tough job.
They aren't going to be in a relegation fight and struggle again this time.
I'm more concerned about them this year than last year.
And they had the 8-point deduction last year.
I know. And last year I remember saying, Rob, at this time of year, you know what, Everton's going to be fine. I kind of like what they've got. A big Onana coming into the side. They've got Decoy that's scoring the goals. Yeah. I just feel like, Rob, and I know that the bottom, the promoted 3, maybe a little less so, all the others around them spending money. They're spending money. They're moving forward. Everton, by the fact they've got a good manager and they can grind and get out of it, they're still not moving forward in terms of the squad. Others are. Yeah. Look at the money Bournemouth spent, Rob. Or you can go Brentford have spent. Ipswich. You can even the ones. Some of those are coming up. So that would be my concern: is that they're standing still, gone backwards a little bit in terms of the squad with the Nana going. Yeah. They have a profit there from sales in the summer. Are they going to spend it? Probably they can't afford to spend it. Else they're going to be in trouble of PSR. I don't know how they stand at that right now. And we did speak to the Premier League, and I think it's early in the year when those numbers get reported and it flags up. You're potentially in trouble. So we'll know more early next year. But I think it could be a really difficult season for Everton.
Let's go to the Etihad, Manchester City, Ipswich Town. Difficult start. Liverpool at home first game. Manchester City away second. Ipswich did the wrong thing, didn't they? Scoring Sam Smythe first goal, and I believe it's 3 or 4 minutes later they're 3-1 down.
Just over 3 minutes, 3 goals went in. When Earle and Haaland scores a penalty, the De Bruyne pass over the top for his run and all that. That's about as like if you want to draw up a Man City,
a patent of where the goals are going to come from.
And Haaland, that was it. And then his third goal, Rob. I mean, what a good goal that is.
Turns, opens himself up, smashes it in the bottom corner. His numbers, Rob, are incredible. I think it's 10 hat-tricks he's had for City, 7 in the Premier League. His numbers in terms of
and also,
goals.
I haven't got it here now, but
I've got it down here.
Have you got the total Premier League, by the way? I saw a number of his total Premier League appearances, like 130. He's
94 goals in 101 appearances for Manchester City. 94 goals in 101 appearances. Yeah. You know what I've written? I've written Haaland here, and I've put the Incredible Hulk. Don't make me angry. You know when the cartoon and say, "Don't make me angry," you turn into this monster. That's him. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I may as well give him the golden boot. The golden boot now.
I know. We don't seem to talk that. I mean, City wasn't one of our feature games this week, but.
Let me chuck another name from City, by the way, who keeps on keeping recognition from his manager, Rico Lewis. Little Rico Lewis.
He's a little dynamite.
He's an absolute little diamond, by the way. And Pep said an interesting thing today. He said, I can't quite work out how he can find so much space in the midfield when he comes in on the inverted wing than many players I've managed before. He's a special talent, this young man.
We saw him firsthand, and one of the things I took away was the speed of him.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's the way he plays or his hair or something, but he flies around the field, doesn't he? He's really quick. We're moving around, he's sharp. And
he was almost too quick with the one. Do you remember he smashed one onto the ball? He's about 6 yards out, and he was like double time on it, whack, and then he's after the ball. But his football IQ, Rob, and again, a little mention to the Manchester City Academy, because when they develop them, they develop proper players. You look at Cole Palmer, you look at Rico Lewis,
and others that they've sold for good money. I know.
There's a lot of good players around that City have got their.
And by the way, Man City are nowhere near full strength, are they? They're still players. I think did Stone start?
Have I got my list of those that didn't
they're
play?
still waiting for players to come back. You know, Rodri's obviously a player. Walker's not in right now.
Rodri, Stones, Walker. Gundogan's back in the fold, so he's
another player to add into it. I know.
It's like,
and they have money, don't they? They have money to spend. They might buy. They often buy chuck a late one in.
Yeah.
I think Doku wasn't a late.
Yeah.
Nuno.
And then he did.
Nunez from.
Kanji was a late one.
Yeah, so they chuck
probably
a
got
little
their
bit of late
eye
business.
on somebody who might be a late bit of business.
All right, other games going on. Other than what catch your eye here? Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1. They're blimmin' out the handball thing, Rob, in that game.
Mate. I mean, it's a header from Mustoe. The referee says goal.
Yeah.
And I've got it here.
He might not have got a great
awarded on field. It's awarded a goal. VAR gets involved, overturns the decision as they deemed it to be a factual handball.
Yeah.
So, matter of fact, it's hit his hand.
Yeah.
So the referee doesn't have to do any kind of review.
No.
The decision is disallowed, goal, move on.
And we looked at it a million times, by the way, because we have all the angles. We can go slow, we can rock it back and forward, and it's just hard. It's just hard to see whether it hits on his shoulder or just below his shoulder. But I thought, from all the conversations we had with the top officials in the UK,
with the on-field referee's
we're going to go with the referee's
unless
call in inverted commas, unless it's like almost extreme, like that you jump off your chair. Yeah. Whoa! That was a big error. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
This isn't definitive, but I just thought in that situation, if Newcastle players are all there, felt it was close to his arm,
they've all
gone crazy, or not one player appealed.
And by the way, the ball pinged off his shoulder.
Yeah, Earle was brilliant. I thought Earle was brilliant after it. Spoke really well. He said, show me the fact. Tell me that that's not a clear and obvious error to disallow the goal. I thought he was perfect, and I
felt bad. That's another one.
Newcastle got the benefit of that. Got a point away from home in the Eddie Howe derby.
West Ham United, Rob, got a 2-0 victory away at Crystal Palace. Palace selling all their players, it seems, at the moment. What is going on?
I mean, does Gay go before the window?
Definitely goes. They're like 5 million out, Rob. 65 to 70 million. I think is that kind of close.
Why would you be?
I don't know why Anderson
to sell Anderson and sell.
I don't know
Gay.
why Anderson went. I don't know why Anderson left.
He's got another year on his contract, so it wasn't like he was running out this.
Maybe they thought that was at $30 million or something.
Maybe
they thought,
you know what? A big contract. Maybe they give him 3 years.
Yeah, maybe they think he's going to leave anyway. Let's take the money for him now. Gay, I think he's going to go, isn't he?
Wow,
Newcastle United.
I'm not so sure.
Well, you think they're going to say no?
I think they might have gone to him because I think his fee only goes up. He'll play for England. I think top centre-backs now are big money.
And he ain't a problem.
No, he's a lovely
like,
guy, great pro, captains the team.
Great pro.
Yeah, be a surprise. And I've got to be honest, Rob, we were watching different games. Every time I looked up to the West Ham Palace game, it was West Ham attacking.
Yeah, they were front foot.
They looked like they were at it a little bit. Yeah,
and that's what
they weren't great, were they, last week?
They weren't great. Villa. Tough game against Villa. But, well done West Ham.
Bowen with the goals.
Yeah, good goal from Bowen.
Yeah.
I think it's going to get a little bit of time, take a little bit of time for them to find the groove with Earle Lopetegui. They're good players, and that's a good step in the right direction for West Ham United.
Craven Cottage, my friend. Fulham 2, Leicester 1. Pleased for Fulham because I thought they did pretty well at Manchester United. They didn't get much out of the game. Late goals. Say gets a late goal that gives them 3 points. But I tell you what, the 2 Fulham goals, mate, were courtesy of some really attractive, progressive football by Fulham. Played through the team, played from one side of the pitch to the other to get Emile Smith-Rowe in, and then played down the other side of the pitch, Anthony Robinson with a beautiful ball to Iwobi when it was 1-1.
It was a great ball, this right foot.
And Iwobi just smashes it in, like a real tinge of Arsenal helping out with the 2 former Arsenal players getting the goal, but really important, good win for Fulham.
Yeah, Smith-Rowe, good for him. Yeah. Good for him. And Fulham are making some good signings. Palhinha was a big hole to fill.
Yeah.
Great defensive midfield player. But now they're spending the money wisely, and you're starting to see the effects of that. So it's a good result for Fulham. And last game on our list here, Rob, is Southampton 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Morgan Gibbs-White with like a rebound off his first shot. He sticks the second one away. And a good start for Forest. I think that's a draw and a win for them. When many were worried about Forest, whether they could stay up again.
Yeah, good, decent start, isn't it?
Yeah, not so good for the promoted teams. If I look at it, Ipswich lost, Leicester lost, and Southampton lost at home. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult for those 3.
2 weeks in, you've got to get used to this league, and then interesting few days now, Rob. Friday, the window shuts. I think there's going to be a bit of business done between now. I think there's going to be 1 or 2 big signings as well in place.
That might roll onto other ones down the league and in and around. Wow,
listen,
there's a whistle stop. That was
what a weekend this has
been.
Wraps up week 2 in the Premier League when Arsenal were my statement on Saturday. Has to be Chelsea were my statement on Sunday. Manchester City and Haaland, their statement every week. Look out for our next podcast. That's next Sunday, September the 1st, when we'll recap match week 3 and the little matter of Manchester United versus Liverpool from Old Trafford. That's 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. But for now, I'm Earle, he's Mustoe, together with the 2 Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And if you want even more Premier League content from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.